Hello. Good morning. Good evening. Good night. If you're watching this in Australia, it's super late. So, anyways. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly dev stream, which is going to be a shorter one today because there's so much going on. We'll talk a bit. We'll talk more about that. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday today. I hope you're all doing good. It's getting cold. I don't know what to say. I don't like it. Fall is coming. Summer was too short. Okay, it's Sweden. I don't like it. All right. Anyways, welcome to our weekly dev stream. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Snood. I'm one of the community managers at Coffee Stain Studios. We're working on a game called Satisfactory. Yay! We've been in early access for 3 years plus, quite some time. Yeah, we're going to talk about what's going on. So today's going to be a shorter stream, mostly because there's so much going on for me at the moment. I've got a little bit of a deadline tomorrow that I kind of need to meet. So I need that hour, man. I need that hour. I also didn't have time to prepare much for today, but I do have a couple of really cool things to share with you all, regarding sort of state of dev, but also sort of what's going on with update 6 on early access. So super excited about that. Just a quick recap. If you didn't see the video I put out last week, I talked about sort of why update 6 is the way that it is. I also talked about that we're back from vacation now. If you watched the previous streams, you already know that we're back from vacation because we've been back for a couple of weeks now. But yeah, so update 6 is coming very soon. Very, very soon. I'll talk a little bit about update 6 in a second, all right? I just want to, there's a couple of things I want to clear out first before we do that. And that is the current state on experimental. Right now, the game is crashing a lot, and it has been crashing the couple of last patches. We're obviously working on that. We were hoping to get a patch out actually this morning, but due to something, I don't know, lame excuse, we weren't able to push it back early today. It's always going to be late. So always going to be late updates for us, apparently. But we have a fix. We have fixed that internally. And the next patch will include a fix for the crashes that most people have been having. There's still a couple of things that we're still investigating, I think, but those are more obscure crashes. The obvious ones are the ones where, like, when crab hatchers spawn on client and stuff like that, the game crashes. I think that happens in single player as well, but yeah, it's a little bit of a mess, and it's been a little bit of a mess as well when you're saving and stuff like that. Most of those issues we hope are fixed now, and we're gonna roll that out as soon as we can. There's one patch that it's currently going through smoke testing, so it will be out as soon as it's gone through all that smoke testing essentially and gone through the whole update procedure essentially. So very, very soon, yeah, once that's out, hopefully we'll have a steady build on experimental, because we haven't really had that since we got back from vacation and we started rolling out patches. So, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So, update 6. What's going on with update 6? It's the most critical question everyone has on their minds right now. So if you didn't watch the video I put out last week, quick recap of that is update 6 has been on experimental for a while now. I think the update came out in June. And yeah, June, right? So we've been out on experimental for a month, and then we took a vacation for a month. So August has been like our vacation month, and then now we've gone back for a couple of weeks, and we're working on sort of wrapping up and fixing things and improving the systems that we have right now. So update 6 is a minor update, I'm sure everyone who watches the stream right now already knows all this stuff, but just to clarify, update 6 is a minor update. The main reason why update 6 is a smaller update is because we've been working on other things at the same time. So usually when previous updates, we've sort of looked at like, okay, here's the time frame between when we want the update to be out. What can we do in this like time frame? And we've made decisions like, okay, we're gonna work on this and this and this because that fits the time frame. So, but this time around, we decided that it's more important for us to focus on getting out of early access. So most of our design decisions and most of our production decisions are based on the fact that we want to get out of early access. We want to finish the game. We want to reach 1.0 for Satisfactory. We want to define 1.0 for Satisfactory as well, which is really hard. It's taken us so long to sort of figure out what can we do and what will fit and what do we think is like a good state of both features, but also like how well it performs and stuff like that for update for the version 1.0, i.e. the one that where we leave early access essentially. So we're focusing on that. We're not speed running to get out of early access. We just realized that, you know, in between updates, we sort of always move the goalposts. So, you know, we thought we were going to be done with this game like maybe a year ago or so. I think the initial idea was that we want to be done with the game for 2022, which I don't think is happening. Just putting that out there. I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. So, but that was the initial idea. Like the initial goal was to be done with the game in 2022 and have it, I mean, done is in the sense that it's 1.0 version, right? So out of early access essentially. So we've been focusing a lot more on that, which means that we have to sort of take decisions based on, you know, that's the highest priority, which meant that when we were working on Update 6 stuff, some stuff we knew we were going to make for Update 6 and some stuff we are going to do for later down the line. So that's why Update 6 is a smaller update and there's more to come. There's a lot of exciting things that we've been working on that we haven't shown yet and that we are going to start showing once Update 6 is out on early access or like in the stable branch, once we've moved it out from experimental. So that is exciting times essentially. So let's see, check my notes. So yeah, so that's what's been going on. Obviously we haven't set a date for Update 6 yet on early access until today because we're actually gonna kinda. Well, I'm gonna essentially, like we've done this before, right? We've been kind of honest, like when we internally think that we're gonna push stuff. Sometimes we delay it, and you know it is what it is. But I think most people kind of realize that, you know, the development is tricky and, you know, when we say a date, you know, that it's not 100% certain that that's going to happen. But I'm going to let you guys in on sort of what's been going on. So the initial date that we wanted to release Update 6 was going to be next week. It was going to be 13th of September. But unfortunately, because of sort of both the state of the build as it's been since we got back from vacation, there's been a lot of crashes, there's been a lot of issues. It's kind of hard to like ascertain the state of the build, if you will, which, you know, is when we're deciding like how long do we need to like finalize and stabilize the build, you know, we're sort of basing that on the live build essentially. And we got a little bit of delayed of both when we were pushing the live build out, but also when we were doing our internal QA got also delayed by a week. So the 13th is not looking promising. The 20th of September though is looking promising. So that is the likely date. We think at this moment, anything can change. And we're kind of hesitant of saying that because it all hinges on this patch that we're putting out today. That was why we wanted it to come out this morning, but yeah, but we're so just so you know, that's what we're shooting for right now. It's not like, you know, 100% set in stone as of yet. It really hinges on like the state of the build that's going on experimental today. So in case there's issues with this build today, you know, we might need to reconsider. But so that's essentially what we're planning for. If you've got your eyes set on when you want to play Update 6 on the early access branch, then hopefully on September 20th that will happen. So, which is in 2 weeks from now, or yeah, 2 weeks from now. There's also a couple of other reasons why we felt like we might need it to delay a little bit. We're working on, you know, some trailer stuff as well for the release of that, yeah. So now you all know. Oh shit! I should have moved to state of dev. Now you all know what's going on. for update 6. Hopefully you're excited for that. I know I am. And yeah, but we'll take it from there. We'll obviously let you guys know if things change. And I'll probably post on our socials after we've ascertained, this build that's coming out today. Once we know that that's okay, that's when we'll bang on the big drum, so to speak, because that is the main culprit right now, is that we don't know sort of the full state of the things. Because it's been a little bit of a bummer start since we got back on vacation, since we've had so many issues with the builds that has been going out on experimental. We were optimistic that we would be able to get it out, this week. Today actually was the first idea, but that's not happening. That didn't happen at all. So yeah, that's the state of things. On the topic of this patch that's coming out, there's actually, so I mentioned that when we put out update 6 kind of early on experimental. And one of the reasons was because scheduling wise, it made sense to sort of do that, even though it was before our vacation, and then there would be this big gap of development time where you wouldn't see any updates to the build. So essentially it'd be frozen in time a little bit before vacation. And then now we're coming back to it and we're starting rolling out of stuff again. So when we launched update 6 on experimental in June, we weren't finished with it. There were still a couple of things that we were working on. One of the main things where we were working on creatures. We were going to introduce, more changes to creatures. We were going to do more things tied to creatures. And we sort of ran into a couple of roadblocks that made it longer to develop the changes to creatures, but also a bunch of bugs that have been creeping up that has taken a lot of time to investigate and figure out why they're happening. A lot of strange issues with how when we're testing stuff internally, everything works, and then once we package the build and send it out, then there are new issues that we don't encounter when we're testing it, which have been really tricky to nail down what is causing them. So we actually need to take a step back and rework a couple of things just to make sure our build pipeline works the way it's intended. And we also did a little bit of a feature creeping where, as we were developing, you realize there's new stuff. But essentially what I'm trying to say is when we were working on creatures, we were reworking the AI system. We were working sort of the navigation system and all the systems that tie into AI creatures. We essentially did a complete rewrite of all those systems. And we're quite happy with how those rewrites were, because the way we did AI behavior before was a mess, essentially. So we're quite happy with the changes we made, but obviously it took a bit longer than we expected. And we sort of knew that was going to be a thing, right? We knew that things were probably going to take longer than we expected, but it took it took way longer than we expected. So the initial idea was for update 6, once it was out on early access, that it would be sort of feature complete in the sense that the state of creatures would be 1.0 state. You know what I mean? They would be sort of how creatures behaved and sort of how they worked. That's sort of what they would behave in the 1.0 version of the game. So that's not going to happen. It's a short story long. Long story short. Unfortunately, we don't think we're going to be able to get the creatures to a 1.0 state, so to speak. So we're going to sort of, instead of delaying the entire update 6 and the plan that we had for update 6, we are going to sort of release update 6 in its kind of current state. Put a pin in that. In its current state. You guys haven't seen the latest state yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But release update 6 in the state it sort of is in right now. And we will keep working on creatures, adding new stuff down the line, iteratively. And essentially that's what I wanted to say. So we won't get everything in. There's more variations of creatures we wanted to get in. There's also an entirely new creature that we haven't even shown yet, that I haven't even seen actually, that we are also planning to do. So we'll sort of see what happens after update 6 is out on early access, what we go, what we do. we'll keep you all in the loop, and we'll sort of keep like an open dev of what's going on there, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So the reason why I said put a pin in the creature stuff is because in this patch that we're rolling out today, we have another like potential fix to all the creature respawning issues that people have been having. There's been a bunch of issues where it feels like very empty in the environment as you're running around and you've built factories and stuff like that. Only like the crab hatchers are spawning and stuff like that. So we have a potential fix for that today. And it's a little bit of an involved fix. I kind of want to talk a little bit about it because it's something I've also seen people discuss on like the forums and in Discord and stuff like that. And I think it'd be fun to sort of just explain a little bit what we're changing for now. So the thing with the creatures like respawning system, it's a little bit of a conundrum for us because it shouldn't do that. Like the way we're looking at it logically, we're looking at it how it works. It's really tricky to like, even though we're looking at save files people have sent us, it doesn't make fully sense to us why it's doing it the way it is. And partly it's tied into some changes we've done to sort of the logic behind the respawning of creatures. So if you didn't know, when you first start playing in an empty world, as you're wandering around to the different spawn locations, creatures will spawn in. And once you've killed them, there's like a set logic gate as like when they can respawn sort of again. And there's a couple of like things that stop respawning. One of which is when you're placing buildables around the respawn area. And in the past, we've had it so that you needed to have like one powered building and you needed like at least a couple of build pieces for the respawning to work. And we sort of gone back and forth a bit about this because at times people were complaining the creatures were respawning too aggressively. And now we're in the opposite where they're not respawning aggressively enough. So we're tweaking and going back and forth. And part of the issue we found is that it's partly due to like this thing where buildables are stopping respawns. And we've sort of tweaked a little bit how that logic works. So at the moment, if I remember correctly, because I did get a rundown of how this all works, but I think we're going to keep changing it a little bit and tweaking it based on your feedback from this patch today. But essentially, the way it works is when you have a powered building, it blocks like respawning within like, I think it's 150 meters of radius or something like that. It might be more. And then we also now, I think, introduced so that when you're placing foundation pieces, they have a smaller radius. So you can't just like run around and place foundation pieces all over the place to sort of stop creatures from spawning. But I think that's sort of what's happening at the moment. I think we're a bit too aggressive when you're placing any buildable that makes it so that they don't spawn. But for some reason, crab hatchers ignore that logic, which is probably a different bug. But so yeah, we decided to reduce the radius for respawning, which doesn't make any sense for us because it used to be a lot more. It used to be a lot bigger, that radius. But yeah, now that we've reduced that radius and we tested it a little bit ourselves, we've noticed that yeah, that actually did improve the respawning mechanics of the game. So we probably need to look into this a bit more and figure out like, was this a bug before, or is this a bug now with the respawn radius stuff, or like is it correct now? We don't fully know, so we're gonna look into this a bit more. But essentially, TLDR for the state of that bug that you guys are running into with the creatures is that it functioned a lot better in our internal tests. So we're really excited to see sort of when this patch goes live. That's coming up today, hopefully today, fingers crossed. We want to hear your feedback on if you feel like creatures are still not spawning enough, or if they're spawning too much, or, you know, if that issue is resolved. And we'll take it from there essentially and keep tweaking at this. Vertically, yes. So it's a complete 360 radius or whatever. It's a sphere essentially. Yes, it's experimental. The patch for today. Still not sure. In case you just joined and you didn't hear it, our internal that we're not publicly communicating is we hope to get the update 6 out on EA on September 20th this year. Fun fact. So yeah, that's sort of what we've been working on. and that's sort of what's going into this patch. We're hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully we've resolved most of those spawn issues. But maybe we haven't. And you know, the best way to let us know if that's the case or not is to let us know on our QA site, on the questions.satisfactorygame.com. And if you're still not encountering creatures enough, please note also that it takes I think it takes 3 days for creatures to respawn. So if you just kill a creature and you save and you load, then they won't respawn for a couple of days, essentially in-game days. So really important to take note of that. Couple of other exciting things well, not in this patch, but very, very soon, very, very soon. That's going to go into Update 6. So like I mentioned, Update 6 isn't finished. We're still putting in stuff in Update 6. And one thing that also is probably coming in this patch, I think, is, I don't know if you noticed, but the sky sphere in the game has been kind of changed significantly. This is something that Ben has been working on while most of us have been on vacation, I think. He's been fiddling around yeah, updated the sky sphere, especially during the night. I think the night sky sphere is a big difference there. You know, we introduced the changes to the atmosphere system when we had volumetric clouds and stuff like that. Now we also have the better star like sky and stuff like that. And the planets are like that you can see sort of from the view of Massage to why I can never remember the name of the planet. I don't know what it is. Yeah, those are getting another revamp. So the planets that you are seeing in the sky right now, they're still work in progress. And now I think they're more close to final and very exciting. And also clarify something that I also been asking a lot. Some people have been asking, are they moons or are they planets, right? Because here's one thing that a lot of people got wrong. You know, when we have like a day-night cycle, right? You see the sun in the sky and then it goes down. And then a lot of people assume that was sort of the moon that's coming up. That's not a moon. That's the second star. Massage 2ABB is a twin star or something. Means that there's 2 stars in the skyline. So that is the second star that you're seeing at the night, but it's not as bright. So that's why it's darker. And previously, I think binary system, that's the word I was looking for. And previously, I think the planets that you did see, there were 2 planets you could see. I assumed that they were moons, right? The moons for the planet. In this next patch, it's not clear what they are anymore. I think they're planets that you see. I don't think they're moons. I don't think Massage 2 ABB has a moon at all, but what do I know, right? So I just thought that was fun. I don't know, that it's just trivia, I guess. Who cares? No tides, no moon. That's yeah, exactly. So that's I think that is the case here, and I think it's gonna be kind of evident when you see the changes to the planets that they probably aren't moons. Anyways, so yeah. 2 suns, does that mean 2 shadows? Since the suns aren't like in the sky at the same time, which apparently isn't 100% accurate, but you know, it's a little bit of game logic because we didn't want to have, because if you have a binary star system, you're supposed to be able to see both suns at certain times of the day, depending on the cycle, which we don't do in the game. In our game, you know, one sun sets and then the other sun comes up and they're kind of like in sync at all times. So, which is mostly because we want to have a day and night cycle more so than which is more important for us than it being like 100%, you know, accurate in terms of that. So yeah, fun stuff. So a Skywork rework is still happening, and I think it's finalizing. It's coming to a close, and it will be done for Update 6 once it reaches EA. But this patch is going to be exciting. One thing that didn't make it into this patch, but is coming very, very, very soon, if not in the next patch, is a couple of things that people have been requesting on our QA site. Remember, questions.satisfactorygame.com. Is that we're sort of fixing up some of the stuff that we were working on for Update 5. I put this in the video last week, where we've added now so you can add materials to the foundation pieces. So not golf, shut up. We've added so that you can paint foundation pieces using the same material type as you know, all the regular foundations. Clarification here as well. Some people asked, why did you get rid of the coloring, like the bi-coloring stuff for foundation, those foundation pieces? They looked sick. The main reason is because we're using the secondary color for the markers, or not the markers, the swatches that you're using, the patterns, I think they're called in the game. So they were kind of like, that was the main reason why we switched that system, is because they were kind of, yeah, stencils. They were kind of like fighting against each other. So the secondary color is now used for patterns or stencils or whatever. So that's why the bicolor of the foundation pieces for the corner ramps disappeared, because that's how the new system works, essentially. But now we moved over those pieces to that new material system, which means that you can, you know, make proper tunnels now that people have been requesting, and you can make them into all the different materials, and you can paint them and yada, yada, yada. And one thing that we really wanted to put into Update 5, but we didn't have time for, was to include corner pieces for roof tiles. So if you remember, you know, if you're placing slanted roof tiles, if you're doing like a full corner thing, or not a corner, if you're doing like a full, you want them to like slant inwards, you know, there's a corner piece missing, and people have been doing, you know, weird things to get around that. This was something we really wanted to get into Update 5, but we didn't have time for it. And since in between Update 5 and Update 6, and, you know, as things are progressively more finished for Update 6, man, people really like that, apparently. Super stoked in chat. Yeah, so we've been catching up on like all the things that we didn't have time to finish for Update 5, so they're coming into Update 6 instead. And one of those things is being able to paint foundation corners, and now also roof corners. So super excited about that. Let me see if I missed something real quick. Yeah, and apparently, oh yeah, so hopefully this is correct, but yeah, so roof corner pieces, and there's also, you know, the tilted wall pieces. I think there's also a corner piece for that, but that one, I haven't seen it, so I can't confirm it, but I think so. So yeah, corner pieces, essentially. Corner pieces, you guys. Corner pieces, okay? This is the best day ever. That's not coming into this patch, unfortunately, but it's coming in like next patch, so probably sometime this week. Corn dog pieces. I like corn. Very topical, very topical. Okay. So yeah, get hyped for the next patch. So yeah, TLDR. Whoa, what's happening to my camera? It's moving up down. This next patch is coming up today. Fingers crossed. Fixes for creatures and respawning specifically, and fixes for crashes that people are having. And the next patch, corner pieces. Okay. Dope. Corn patch confirmed. Yes. So yeah, let me check. I think Juicy sort of state of dev today, with a couple of nice details. I think, you know, nothing too major, but I think a lot of people have been looking forward to the corner pieces specifically. So yeah, super stoked.